Hi, Nancy here, and I want to talk about shoulder shaping or the shaping of a sleeve cap and the dreaded stair step design you get here. And I use the word design, I don't know about that, but this is what happens. We're all familiar with this. If you've ever made a sweater, when you're doing your shaping on your shoulders, it'll tell you bind off so many stitches, go up, bind off so many stitches, go up, back and forth, and you end up with this. And this is like not tons of fun to seam. You end up losing a lot of your area to knit with, or to seam with, excuse me, and then you end up with the bulk, and it's just a pain. Now, this problem is easily corrected with short row shaping when you're doing the shoulders. However, on a sleeve cap, you really can't do short rows unless it's a real shallow one, because you need the height. You would end up losing too much of your height. What you can do is called a sloped bind off. And this right here is the difference. Isn't that something? Just sloping a typical regular garden variety bind off, and you get this effect. I mean, it looks pretty darn close to a short row shaping, okay? And people that are really nervous about doing short rows can also take advantage of this. This is a really big piece I did for a class I'm doing. I guess I really wanted to prove my point, but you can see how nice that really works. But this would be a sleeve cap, and there's no funny business. I mean, this is just going to be a dream to seam. There's not going to be any of the issues you have when you get this little jagged edge thing. So I'm going to show you how to do it. It's really not hard at all. Just a couple things you need to do differently, and that's it. Okay, so what you're going to do, okay, we'll start. It doesn't change the stitches you bind off, anything like that. So we're going to be on the wrong side row now, and I'm going to purl down to the last stitch, and then we're going to start our shaping. Okay, so we'll just pretend this is a sleeve cap, but it wouldn't matter. You know, it'd be the same. Okay, so we're just going to go down. Okay, hopefully you can see what I'm doing okay here. All right. Now the first thing that you're going to notice is a little different. When I get down to my last stitch, I got to give myself some more yarn here. Okay, I'm going to get down to my last stitch. And rather than work it, okay, I'm going to leave it on my left needle. Okay? And then I'm just going to turn. Okay? And I'm just going to put my yarn in the back because it's a knit side. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to, as if to purl, slip that stitch from my left needle to my right. And I'm going to pass this stitch over it. This is the one that was left behind. I'm just going to pass it over. This counts as my first bind off. And we're going to bind off 3. So this is my first. Then I'm going to knit. Bind off number 2, I'm going to knit again, number 3, okay? Now we're going to keep going, because we're going to bind off 3 on the other side. Okay, so we're going to go down to the end of this row. And when we get down to 1 stitch, it's the same as before. Okay, so now we got 1 stitch left. We're not going to work it. We're going to turn. Okay, and it's a purl row. So our yarn's already in front, which is where we want it. We're going to slip as if to purl that stitch from the left needle to the right. We're going to bind it off by passing the stitch over the one we just slipped onto the needle. This is 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to finish the row. It's amazing just making a few minor adjustments, and it makes all the difference in the world. Okay. This is also called a bias bind off. I've always referred to it as a slope, but okay, so now we're going to go down to the last stitch. Okay, and then we're not going to work it. We're going to turn. We're on a knit row. The yarn's in the back. That's where we want it. We're going to slip as if to purl that stitch from the left to the right. Then we're going to pass over our slip stitch. That's 1, 2, 3, and then we'll just do one more down here, and then I think you'll get the idea. So down 2, okay, running out of yarn again here. Okay, we have 1 stitch left. We're going to turn, slip it, pass it over. There's the bind off. Oops, almost forgot to finish there's my second. There's my third, and so on and so forth, but I'm going to turn it around so you can get the idea here. I'm just going to put that stitch back so I can turn this around. But look how nice that looks. Isn't that cool? There you go. Say goodbye to those ladders. All you have to do is a sloped bind off. That's how it's done.